Hey guys, I'm so excited that you have joined us for this interview series. We have a very special guest. We have Alanna with us today, who is a lighting designer, and I cannot wait to talk to her. So, Alanna, thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here.
Would you mind taking just a few minutes to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do, and where you're from?
Sure. So my name is Alanna Easley. I am a lighting designer from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Philly girls. And I currently work out of Nashville, Tennessee, working as a house lighting designer for the legendary Exit Inn, as well as Marathon Music Works. I've worked in theater. I've worked on plays, musicals, dance showcases, everywhere from tiny little houses to 6-acre outdoor venues. And now I've kind of shifted my career into concert work within the last year. So I'm very much beginning a new journey as well.
That sounds so exciting. And I know so many people listening may not really know what it means to be a lighting designer. So can you kind of take us through, like, what does your daily activities look like when you go to work? What does it look like for Alanna?
Absolutely. So essentially what being a lighting designer is, if anybody has ever been to a concert, and there's this crazy light show going along with the music, I design those. I build those from the ground up. I do a bunch of the technical work to decide where each individual fixture goes, and how it's going to operate throughout the show. And I do all the programming with that. So my day-to-day looks very different based on the project that I'm working on. If I'm in a musical or a play or a dance showcase, that might be a 6-month process. For the stuff that I do now, it's all in one day and it's very much prepared improv. So my work entails a lot of research and development and figuring out, what's the story we're telling and how can I best enhance that? How can I draw my audiences in to be emotionally in tune with everybody on stage and to really get that message across? And so my research, a lot of times, if it's for a musical, I'm researching time periods, I'm researching styles of the time. If it's for a band, I am listening to their catalog over and over again until the show. And then through different specific design choices like color, angle on which I'm lighting my subjects, texture, specific moments, if I really want to isolate in on one performer, I make all of those decisions to figure out how to best convey the story. I build plots, or what we call them. It's a schematic of where every individual fixture is going, what color it has, if it's a gel, how it's patched, where it's going to be focused, who it's going to be pointed at, how fuzzy or hard the edge of the light is. And then I train a crew, get that plot up in the air, and then program the show, and it's showtime.
It sounds like there is a lot of creativity that goes into what you do. And so I love that, because a lot of times when people think about creative careers or careers in art, this is probably not a career path that comes up a lot. And so all the students that are listening out there, if you have a creative mindset, this might be, and you love music, this might be a perfect opportunity for you. So another question that I have is, is this a career path that you knew about in high school? Is this something that you always wanted to do? Or how did you come about this journey to where you are now?
I had no idea this existed in high school. And honestly, even if I did, I don't know that it's what I would have thought I wanted to do at the time. So when I graduated high school, I was actually planning to go to college for developmental editing. I was going to be a book editor. And I had interests in photography, but I loved to act. And so on a whim, I decided to audition for an acting scholarship at Ohio Wesleyan University, and I got it. And so we had a quick pivot and a change of plans, and I decided to be a theater major instead. And I went to school performance-based. And about halfway through college, I just kind of felt like I was stagnating, like plateauing a little bit. I didn't feel like I was growing. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my time here worth it. I'm going to learn as much as I can. And I signed up for shop work in our scene shop that summer, started doing construction, steel work, electrical, whatever. And part of that was designing dance showcases for some of the local dance schools who came through to use our stage. And I fell head over heels that summer with lighting. And it was my new path from that point forward. And so I didn't even know about my current career until I was 20 years old, and decided to just chase it as best I could. I started freelancing while I was in college, picked up every show that I had an opportunity for, just learned as much as I could. I'm mostly self-taught. Um, and then after college, continued freelancing, ended up picking up a full-time job at Shadowbox Live in Columbus, Ohio, which is like a rock and roll and comedy-based theater, which is where I started designing music, which is why I'm now in Nashville. And I used to work on, tribute shows, musicals, dance showcases, multimedia productions. I would design award shows, whatever I could get my hands on. And it really was just I found what I finally had been looking for my whole life, and I just dove head in. Just said, you know what, this is just what we're doing now. I continued my performance career alongside, but I did ultimately decide that lighting was what I wanted to do full time. But no, I
That's,
had no idea that this was
yeah.
a thing. I've learned so much about the live entertainment industry that I never knew existed in high school.
That's such a good story. And I think it's something that a lot of people can relate to because at 18 years old, it's so hard to know what you want to do with your life. And after high school, you really do discover different careers that didn't even know existed out there. So thank you for sharing that with us. I know for everyone, there are times in your life where you might run into different obstacles or have to pivot or change careers or different things come up. So I want to ask you, how have you dealt with any obstacles that you've run into? What advice do you have for students that could potentially have to overcome obstacles in the future?
Yeah. I mean, as you said, everybody runs into them, and unfortunately, you're going to keep running into obstacles throughout your entire career, throughout your entire life. It's going to continue happening, and the best thing you can do is face them head on, and have the courage that you are making the best choices for yourself. Um, I think like my first big one was actually just making the decision that performance wasn't working. I still love to act. I was still a professional singer, actor, dancer, keys player for 5 years before I moved here. And I could have had a performance career, but it wasn't fueling me. It wasn't sitting right in my chest anymore. And so I had to have a lot of courage and decide, you know what? I'm going to try something new. I'm going to try something scary. And that is so difficult to do, but just reminding yourself that, you have to have the courage to try. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's still going to be a great experience. It's still going to be something that you can look back on and say, hey, at least I tried.
Mhm.
Um, and then, I mean, the other big thing is like, we were talking earlier about how I am a woman in a very male dominated industry, and I have run into some trouble with people who don't necessarily respect that. I am so thankful to see that we are moving so quickly out of that era. But I definitely, when I first started freelancing, I would have, men at shows that I was working on. I'm like drilling something into the floor to keep their kids safe. And they're like, you need more torque on that. I'm like, I don't. No, I don't. I know what I'm doing. And often it was just saying, okay, well, then can you show me? Because maybe you'll learn something or maybe you'll prove them wrong. And at the end of the day, you either learned or you earned their respect or both. So just coming at those situations with grace and knowing my own worth, I think was the biggest thing that got me through that. And that can be really hard to do. But you got to believe in yourself more than anything else. You have to believe in yourself more than anybody else in the world.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Such good advice. And, it is such a male dominated industry, but like you said, I'm glad to see that that's changing. And kudos to you for really following your passion and doing what you love to do. And so you mentioned that you didn't really even discover this career until you were 20 years old. So I know working in the industry all the time, whether it's in music or entertainment or performing arts, you've probably discovered many different career paths that you didn't know existed out there as a teenager. So, would you mind sharing some of those career paths that you have discovered along the way with students that may not know are out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say one of the ones that really interested me when I was in college, there was two that I actually considered switching my entire career into the same way that I did for lighting. One was being a dialect coach. Like I said, I went in as an actor and I had a particular interest in accents. And so I took a vocal performance class and found out that there are people out there who legitimately just teach you how to speak like an Australian, like an
That's
Irishman,
amazing.
like a German, and they figure out the specific placement in the mouth and the musicality of the way that you speak. And their entire job is to study that culture, to study different regions, and then explain to other performers how to make that happen. I thought it was so interesting.
That
And I
is.
really, really at one point thought that's where my life was going. And then same with being a dramaturg. I don't know if you've ever heard of dramaturgs, but they are researchers essentially for theater. So if you're putting on, say, a period piece like a Shakespearean piece or something set during World War II, or really at any point in history, their job is to research the culture, research the fashion of the time to help support costume designers in making accurate choices, the music of the time to help support sound designers, the even the lighting. If at the time electricity didn't exist, what did they use to light their spaces? How can I best then emulate that as a lighting designer? And I take some of the aspects of that job with me into my career now, because obviously a huge part of my job is research and development. But there's one person on most crews who just does that and compiles all that research and sends it out to the people who need it to make sure that you get this really cohesive, accurate, and enthralling show that feels very, very true to the world. And then my most recent one I would say is a talent buyer.
Yeah.
As I said, I'm new to the music industry, and talent buyers are essentially people who book bands or acts or comedians for venues that they think are going to best suit the community. And I think it's such a beautiful career to,
Mhm.
number one, support those artists and give them a place to display their craft, and number two, to support their community and make sure that there is accessible and interesting art out there for what they're looking for. Like, that's just fascinating to me. The buyer
It
at my venue is incredible. I love her.
That is incredibly interesting. I love that you share that with all of our students and students, if you're listening and this is something that you want to learn more about, I mean, definitely just a quick Google search and you should be able to find so much information. I mean, we live in a time period where we have so much information at our fingertips, and so definitely dive in, see what's out there. And so, Alanna, one of my favorite questions to ask, and I think as we grew older and we gain that experience and that wisdom, we learn a lot. So, what is something that you wish you would have learned at a younger age?
Ooh, this is my champion message right here. Um, no time is ever wasted that you are learning or that you're enjoying yourself. I This is something I wish somebody would have told me when I was in middle school, when I was in high school, when I was early in college. Um, I spent so much of my life as this kind of jack of all trades, having a hand in everything, working so hard to be good at things, but like never getting to the point where I was great at them. And it drove me insane, especially when I got to like early college. I changed my major 4 times. My major minor combination. I was theater, English, and computer science, and I have done every combination of those. Um, and I felt like all of the other students in my department sort of found their niche. They were the video guy. She was the sound girl. He was the lead actor. She was the character actor. And I was just like, I don't know. I do theater. Um, and I really kicked myself for that for too long. And then even when I found lighting design, I felt so much, and I still feel this sometimes, we still have doubts. I felt so much that I had wasted my time, that if I had found this earlier when I was in high school, I could have gone to school specifically for technical production. And maybe I could have been touring 5 years ago instead of sitting in a theater, still chasing a performance career that didn't fuel me the way that it needed to. But at the end of the day, I was being a job, I've held down jobs. I've worked at a bagel shop. I was a temp for an insurance company. I was a phone marketer at my last company. I was a waitress. I was a singer, an actor, a dancer, a keys player. I was into sports. I was into so many different things. And I can pinpoint a skill that every single one of those things taught me that contributes to my job now. Like you would never think being a phone marketer makes you a better lighting designer, but today in my day to day, I work with a new band every single day. And
Mhm.
it makes it so much easier when I can clearly, concisely, effectively translate a vision or an idea to an artist in 5 minutes and then just go build it instead of standing there trying to figure out how to say it. I'm good at selling my ideas. I'm great at communicating because I was a waitress, because I used to teach. Um, and at the end of the day, I also just like to crochet. I like to color, that it's never wasted time if you are enjoying yourself. And I think we often feel too much like we're on a timeline and like
Mhm.
I'm wasting my time. I got to be working. I got to be going faster. I got to be doing this or that. And it's not, it's never wasted. Explore everything that interests you and it will find a way to come back in the rest of your life. I like to say that all the things I was good at in my life are why I can be great now.
Oh my gosh, that was your champion moment. I mean, that was fabulous.
I
Um,
think more people need that message.
I 100% agree. And I hope students are taking notes and listening to this because that is so true. I feel like many times we have so much pressure on ourselves to be the best in the quickest amount of time. And you're exactly right. So I love that. Such a good message. So the last question, and this is my favorite question for everyone that we chat with, is if there are students out there that are interested in pursuing a career in lighting, what is something that they can do today while they're still in high school? And the reason for this is so many times students just think like, oh, I have to wait till I graduate or I have to wait, until my life starts to really get started. But there's so many things that they can do today while they're still in high school. So what advice do you have for them?
My number one advice, and I think you should carry this through the rest of your life in anything that you want to do. So even those of you who don't want to do lighting, which no offense, I promise, none taken. Even those of you who don't, just explore.
Mhm.
Explore everything that you can that relates to the industry that you are interested in. So, I mean, in terms of lighting, that could be going and watching concerts or watching them on YouTube, picking out little moments that you really like and figuring out why they speak to you. Going for walks, going out and just seeing what you see in the world, or for drives and seeing what you see and figuring out, okay, why does that look like a liminal space? Like what is the lighting doing that's making that feel so unsettling? Is it the color? Is it the angle? Is it the weird shadows? Take photography classes, take art classes. I learned so much when I was in my design courses. We had to fill 3 full pages of a sketchbook, a full-size sketchbook every day, or every week rather. Sorry, that would be insane amongst college. Every week. And then at the end of the week, we would have a meeting with our professor and talk about what we were learning. And when I started finally diving into working with light sources and drawing rooms during the day and then at night to see how the light floods in through the window, how it affects the shapes in the room. There's little things like that. You don't have to be a fantastic artist. If you don't enjoy sketching or painting, try photography. And that can just be on your phone. Play with the lights in your room. That's my number one thing. Play with the lights in your bedroom. Just set up neon lights, set up string lights, hang them up and then put them on the floor and see how things change. It is so simple to just play and
Yeah.
to explore and to be very present and aware with your surroundings, and all of those little mental snapshots that you're taking will come back to help you later on in your design career if you choose to. And
Ugh.
then if you're not interested in lighting, same thing.
Yeah,
Whatever you're
keep it
interested in,
curious.
explore. Do something that you're scared of. Do something you're afraid of failing, and then be proud of yourself for having the courage to do it, even if it doesn't work out the way you think.
Yeah. Yeah. That is such good advice. Just being curious and trying to learn as much as you can. I love it. And Alana, I have enjoyed so much chatting with you today. I know that the insight and the wisdom that you've shared will definitely resonate with everyone who's listening. So, is there any last words of wisdom you'd like to share with us before we hop off?
Um, like I said, do something you're scared of.
Yeah.
I just like I said, I feel like everybody thinks they're on a timeline. And everybody has a fear of failure. Everybody has a fear. Can we pause for a second? I'm sorry. There are so
Yes.
many things going by my window right now.
Yeah,
I was
no,
like, I
that's
really, they're so loud.
good.
It's finally nice here for the first time in like a while, like properly nice. So the window's open. I'm like, please don't do that during this call. Are we done? Because the first one went and then it was gone. I think we're done now.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, you are totally fine. I will ask that last question. So we'll just start here. So, Alanna, it's been so good to chat with you today. Is there any last words of wisdom before we hop off?
Yeah, I would say, like I said, doing something that you're scared of, doing something you're afraid of failing. Everybody has a fear of failing, or just exploring, getting into it, regardless of what it is that you're interested in. I always, my email's always open. You know, I recommend people to call me or shoot me an email and say, hey, can we talk for 30 minutes? I'm interested in this career and I'm interested in doing this. I've had quite a few meetings with students, typically college students, but I've worked with high school students as well who are interested in getting into this and they just want to know my story. They want to ask their questions. Um, I strongly recommend signing up for a club that interests you, even if you're afraid you're not going to be good at it. Like, go for that job, go for that internship, try it. You've nothing to lose. I'm 28 years old and I moved to a brand new city and left my entire old career behind and joined a brand new industry this year. And it's been one of the most terrifying and exciting and wonderful parts of my life so far. And I could not be more thankful to myself for having the courage to take that step because I am genuinely so happy doing what I do now. But you have to have the courage to take that step. So I say start building that habit now. Go do something you're scared of, something safe,
Yes.
but
I
something that you're scared of.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. And just your story has been so inspiring. So hope everyone will check out our full library of interviews on the Reach and Teach website. We have all different career paths, and we're so excited to learn more about lighting design from Alanna, and we'll see you next time.